Welcome to video about the Darwin Prize, a satirical award that honors those who, let's say, helped humanity by removing themselves from the genetic pool through incredibly stupid actions. Today, we're going to tell you 50 shocking and funny stories that will make you laugh, cringe, and maybe think a little. If you are interested in hearing the details of any of the stories, please write about it in the comments. Each story is a lesson in what not to do, and what you should definitely subscribe to the channel. So let's get started. Story 1. Liposuction Tragedy. In 1999, in Mineola, New York, 44-year-old David really wanted to lose weight. But instead of going to the gym or to the doctor, he decided to save money and let a friend give him liposuction. In his garage with a vacuum cleaner. Yes, you heard that right. A vacuum cleaner. Of course, this was not the best plan. David died of an overdose of lidocaine, a painkiller. He won the Darwin Prize for his extreme vanity and poor judgment. If you need surgery, it's better to go to a professional, not a friend with a vacuum cleaner. Story 2. Crystal Manna. In Mexico in 2000, a man decided to steal a stalactite from a cave, apparently thinking it would bring him wealth or fame. But the stalactite had other plans. When he tried to break it off, it collapsed and crushed the thief. This fatal greed earned him the Darwin Prize. If you want a treasure, it is better to look for it in a store, not in a cave where everything can fall on your head. Better yet, subscribe to the channel. It will definitely save your head. Story 3. Leveling the playing field. In 2000, in the Canadian city of Calgary, a man decided to end a heated argument in a billiard room by pulling out a gun, but instead of scaring his opponent, he accidentally shot himself in the groin when he pulled the weapon out of his pants. Oops, that was definitely not what he had planned. This shot not only ended the quarrel, but also his chances of procreation. He won the Darwin Award for this painful blunder. Leave the guns at home and solve quarrels with words. As a last resort, do it in the comments to the video. Story 4. Count your chickens. In August 1995, in the Egyptian village of Nazlat Imara, a chicken fell into a 60-foot well, triggering a real tragedy. An 18-year-old farmer went to save it, but drowned. His sister and 2 brothers rushed to his aid and also drowned. Then 2 older farmers tried, but they suffered the same fate. As a result, 6 died and the chicken survived. This bird is clearly smarter than everyone else. A chicken is not worth your life, so buy a new one. It's a good thing I didn't get chickens. Story 5. Protest against helmets. In July 2011 in New York State, a man participated in a protest against motorcycle helmet laws by proudly riding without one. But during the ride, he fell over the handlebars and fatally hit his head. Darwin-level irony. This protest was his last and earned him a reward. Helmets are not just an accessory, they save lives. Story 6. Make a barrel. In July 2010, in Sedro-Woolley, Washington, 2 mechanics decided to have some fun. They poured methanol into a 55-gallon barrel, sat on it, and set it on fire. Instead of a rocket show, the barrel exploded, killing one of them. This explosive stunt won them the Darwin Prize. Leave explosions for movies, not for parking lots. Story 7. Ghost Ride. In August 2010 in Kentucky, 20-year-old Kalita Hicks was driving her Chevy at highway speeds on Route 519. She decided to switch seats with a passenger without stopping the car. She climbed out through the open roof but lost her balance, fell, and died when she hit the guardrail. Apparently, she thought it was like in a movie, but she forgot about reality. Always stop the car if you want to change places. Story 8. Twice stupid. In December 2009, in Ukraine, a chemistry student, Volodymyr Lakonos, liked to dip his gum in citric acid to taste it. One day, he confused it with explosives, and when he put the gum in his mouth, it exploded, tearing off part of his face. Apparently, he thought it was a new boom flavor. Check what you put in your mouth, especially if you are a chemist. Story 9. David Monk. In February 2008, in the Italian resort of Sosdul, 46-year-old David Monk, after a few drinks, decided to steal a safety mattress from a barrier on the ski slope with his friends and use it as a sled. They slid down the slope and crashed into the same barrier, which was left unprotected. David was killed. What a mountain adventure! Don't steal safety mattresses if you don't want to crash into a barrier. Story 10. Marco. In July 2001 in Idaho, Marco was driving a van with 8 passengers when the brakes failed. Instead of warning the others, he jumped out of the moving vehicle, hit his head on the asphalt, and died. One of the passengers stopped the van. Apparently, Marco thought he was in an action movie. Do not leave passengers in trouble if you are driving. Story 11. Eric Barcia. In July 1997, in Virginia, 22-year-old Eric Barcia decided to try bungee jumping from a 70-foot railroad bridge. He tied up several bungee cords, but didn't realize that they were longer than the height of the bridge. Eric crashed to the asphalt. Apparently, he thought it was like an amusement park. You need professional equipment for bungee jumping. Story 12. A dangerous pose. In the picturesque medieval city of Rothenburg, Germany, in 2000, a 53-year-old man decided to take some artistic nude photos. He put his camera on a tripod and climbed a stone wall to pose. But he lost his balance and fell from a 5-meter height, which led to his death. The camera remained on the tripod, and the police planned to develop the film to learn more. This tragic incident earned him the Darwin Award for dangerous pose. It seems he took the phrase falling for art too literally. Story 13. Throwing stones. In October 2000, during the unrest in the Middle East, a man named Alan and his friends were having fun throwing rocks at cars at the Eli intersection. They hit a truck, and then Alan went out into the road to throw another car. The driver tried to dodge, lost control, and the car overturned, killing Alan and injuring the driver. Police determined that the accident was caused by stone throwing. Alan received the Darwin Award. Remember, throwing stones at cars is not only dangerous, but can also bring unwanted rewards. Story 14. A sleepy fall. In 1999 in Amsterdam, a man managed to fall asleep on a rooftop, and you guessed it, fell down. Either he was sleeping or walking in his sleep, but the result was tragic. The fall was fatal. This incident earned him the Darwin Prize for sleeping falls. Who would have thought that sleeping on the roof was a bad idea? So, friends, stay away from rooftops when you want to take a nap. Story 15. The Flame of Passion. In Germany, in 1999, a man decided to create a romantic atmosphere by setting something on fire for effect. Perhaps candles or something more extreme. But the fire got out of control, and he died in a fire of his own making. This hot act won him the Darwin Prize. Moral: if you want to ignite passion, buy flowers, not matches. Story 16. The Moscow Looter. In Moscow in 2000, a man threatened to deal with his wife and her lover by making a homemade bomb. But when he tried to attach it to the door of their apartment, the bomb exploded in his hands. This explosive plan won him the Darwin Prize. The irony is that he dismantled himself. So, if you want to solve problems, it's better to talk instead of making explosives. Story 17. Ethanol versus methanol. In 2001 in England, a professor who should have known better died of methanol poisoning, possibly confusing it with ethanol. Methanol is a poison, and ethanol is what's in drinks. This fatal mistake in chemistry won him the Darwin Prize. Always check labels, especially if you're a professor who should know the difference. Story 18. Rap on the Door of Heaven. In 2000, a rapper was filming a music video in Ohio and decided to add drama by using a gun. Unfortunately, he accidentally shot himself, and that was his last performance. This tragic incident earned him the Darwin Award. Guys, if you're shooting a music video, leave the guns for props, not real shots. Story 19. A new dating technique. In 1997, in Mexico, a security guard, perhaps trying to impress someone, played Russian roulette. Unfortunately, luck was not on his side, and he lost in this deadly game. This case earned him the Darwin Award. Moral. If you want to make an impression, it is better to invite someone for coffee, not play with weapons. Story 20. Hard heads. In January 2001 in Australia, two friends decided that riding on the roof of a Land Cruiser was a cool idea. One of them probably thought he was in a Hollywood action movie, but the reality was more brutal. While driving fast, he lost his balance, fell, and hit his head on the road. This stunt won him a Darwin Award, but definitely not an Oscar for safety. Car roofs are not for surfing. Hold on to your seats. Story 21. Urinating from a bridge. In August 1999 in Seattle, a 19-year-old guy decided at 2 a.m. that the best place to go pee was the edge of a freeway bridge. But as he got carried away, he lost his balance and fell 45 feet down. It was not the splash he was expecting. He received the Darwin Award for this fatal choice of location. When nature calls, look for a restroom, not a bridge. And you better not do such stupid things, but just subscribe to the channel. Story 22. Death by tree. In February 2000, a man in Pennsylvania was cutting down trees on his property when he didn't realize that one of them was propping up the others. When he cut it down, a whole bunch of trees came crashing down on top of him. It was like playing Jenga, but with very high stakes. This forestry blunder won him the Darwin Prize. Morale, before you cut down a tree, make sure it doesn't hold a surprise. Story 23. Failure with a wheelchair. In August 2010, in Daejeon, South Korea, a 40-year-old man in a wheelchair got angry that the elevator left without him. He slammed into the elevator doors 3 times until they gave way, sending him flying down the shaft. This angry breakthrough won him the Darwin Prize. Patience around elevators can save your life. Story 24. Walter. In 2000, 43-year-old Walter took part in a snowmobile competition in Alaska. He was high-marking, racing up the slope despite avalanche warnings. After one small avalanche, he continued and triggered a larger one that buried him. Apparently, he thought the snow was just fluff. Moral, listen to avalanche warnings and subscribe to the channel to stay informed. Story 25. Craig. In July 1999 in Utah, paraglider Craig decided to land his parachute in a canal thinking it was a soft landing. The parachute filled with water pulled him under and he drowned. Apparently, he thought it was like being in a swimming pool. Don't land in water on a paraglider. Story 26. Unknown. In 1999 in Wales, a 27-year-old man jumped off an 80-foot cliff in Scrinclaw Haven to impress teenagers. He lost consciousness when he hit the water and drowned, despite the teenagers' attempts to save him. Apparently, he thought it was just like in the movies. Don't dive off cliffs if you don't know how to do it. Story 27. Motorcycle with your feet. In July 2004, 27-year-old Michael was riding his motorcycle on the highway in Washington state. But instead of using his hands, he decided to steer with his feet, holding his hands up like a circus performer. Unfortunately, the circus ended in tragedy. He lost control and crashed. This trick won him the Darwin Prize. Apparently, he thought it was like in the movies. Control your motorcycle with your hands, not your feet, if you don't want to become a Darwin star. Story 28. Phone on ice. In January 2004, in Ventnor, New Jersey, 17-year-old Bruce dropped his cell phone from a bridge onto a frozen river. The phone landed on the ice and Bruce decided to rescue it. But the thin ice broke and the boy fell into the icy water. He was found only a few days later. This heroic mission earned him the Darwin Award. Moral: your phone is not worth your life. Buy a new one. Story 29. Hanging over the highway. In May 2005, in Seattle, two drunken friends decided to compete at 2:45 a.m. to see who could hang the longest on a bridge over a highway. One of them won, but he was so tired that he couldn't climb back up. He fell right into a truck that was traveling at 60 miles per hour. This champion won the Darwin Award. Do not compete in suspension over the highway, especially after a beer. Story 30. Wrapped in a drill. In April 2005, a construction worker named Ivan noticed a shiny object on a drilling rig in Moscow. Instead of stopping the machine, he bent down to grab it. His jacket got caught on the drill and he wrapped himself around it like a rope. By the time the drill stopped, there was little left of him. This curiosity won him the Darwin Prize. Don't mess with drilling rigs if you don't want to become a rope. Story 31. Failed setup. In March 2005 in Michigan, 19-year-old Christopher got drunk and decided that a neighbor had stolen his alcohol. To take revenge, he came up with an ingenious plan: cut himself with a knife and blame his neighbor. But Christopher overdid it and died of his wounds before the police arrived. This detective won the Darwin Award. Don't set others up because you can set yourself up. Story 32. A sudden stop. In 2006 in Wisconsin, 7 students decided to have some fun after a party by ripping out stop signs. They piled a bunch of signs into the back of a pickup truck and drove back. But at the same intersection where they had just stolen a sign, their pickup truck collided with a van. 6 people in the back were killed. This game won them the Darwin Award. Don't steal road signs. They save lives. Story 33. Chemistry in the head. In February 2008, in Sofia, Bulgaria, Lydia, a biology teacher, was driving with her friends after a wake. She stopped the car and, together with her friends, started pouring chemicals, including diethyl ether and methanol, into the sewer. The resulting explosion killed them and damaged the street. This chemical adventure won her the Darwin Prize. Don't pour chemicals down the drain. Story 34. Invulnerable Eric. In 2002 in the Bahamas, Swiss Eric, who considered himself an expert on sharks, decided that he could communicate with them using yoga and heart rate control. He waded into the water where the sharks were being fed, wearing only shorts. The shark apparently did not appreciate his zen and attacked. Eric did not survive and received the Darwin Prize. Moral: leave sharks alone, especially if they are hungry. Story 35. Pilot Patrick. In 2015, in Montana, a pilot with 10,000 hours of flight time bought a new airplane. During the flight, fuel began to flood the cockpit, but he thought it was no big deal. The mechanic said, "Don't fly," but Patrick replied, "I'll make it." The plane crashed, and Patrick won the Darwin Prize. If fuel is pouring into the cockpit, it's better not to take off. Story 36. Lieutenants Ruth and Birch. In 2017, in the United States, pilots Ruth and Birch decided to show how cool they were by performing aggressive maneuvers in a training plane. They were flying too low and slow, and the plane went into a spin. Both were killed, receiving a double Darwin Award. Don't be a Top Gun in training. Story 37. Fireworks in a helmet. In 2015, in Maine, Devin Staples decided to celebrate the 4th of July by setting off fireworks from his head. He placed a mortar on his head, lit it, and the explosion instantly took his life. The Darwin Award for explosive creativity. Fireworks are not a headdress. Story 38. Chiron jet. In 2000, in Iraq, the terrorist Chiron jet sent a letter bomb, but did not put enough stamps on it. The letter came back and he happily opened it. Boom, the Darwin Award for postal stupidity. Check stamps, especially on bombs. Story 39. Australian Kung Fu student versus lion. In 1989, in Melbourne, a Kung Fu student believed he could kill a lion with his bare hands. As his trainer said he could, he climbed into the zoo's enclosure, but the lion pack quickly showed him who the real master was. The guy died and won the Darwin Award. Don't trust everything your trainer says. Story 40. Two Canadians hijacked an airplane. In 1996, in Chilliwack, two drunken Canadians decided they could pilot an airplane because one of them worked at the airport. They hijacked the plane, took off, but quickly crashed. They both died and won the Darwin Prize. Don't hijack airplanes, especially when drunk. Story 41. Professor Alexander Jarkov. In 2001, in Oxford, Russian professor Jarkov liked to drink laboratory ethanol. One day he confused it with methanol, a poison. The result? Slow death on a ventilator and the Darwin Prize. Don't drink in the lab, even if you're a professor. Story 42. Death by planking. In May 2011, in Brisbane, a 20-year-old Australian decided to try a fashion trend, planking. He lay face down on the railing of a 7th-floor balcony to take a cool photo. But his balance failed, and he flew down. This viral stunt was his last and won him the Darwin Award. Morale. Online challenges are fun, but not when you're 7 stories up. Story 43. Double Darwin. In 2010, on Brazil's Via Dutra highway, a couple decided to stop right in the right lane in thick fog for a romantic moment. But a truck didn't appreciate their passion and crashed into the car, instantly taking both lives. This double miss won them the Darwin Award. Romance is great, but not on a busy highway. Story 44. Leaving his wife. In February 1998, in Buenos Aires, a man threw his 20-year-old wife from an 8th-floor balcony during a quarrel. She got caught in the wires, and he jumped after her, either to save her or to finish her off. He missed and fell to his death, and she survived by reaching the neighboring balcony. What a way to end a quarrel. Solve family conflicts with words, not by jumping off balconies. Story 45. Machismo. In 1995, in Poland, 30-year-old Krzysztof Ininski was drinking with his friends and decided to show who was the coolest. After hitting him with frozen beets, one friend cut off part of his foot with a chainsaw. Krzysztof went further and cut off his head. Well, at least he won the bet. Don't prove your manhood with a chainsaw. Story 46. The spitting contest. In February 2004 in Ottawa, Amir, a 20-year-old engineering student, was celebrating his birthday on the 11th floor. He and his friends organized a spitting contest from the balcony. In order to win, Amir ran, but overestimated his strength and flew over the railing, falling down. This flight won him the Darwin Prize. Apparently, he thought that engineering calculations would save him. Spitting contests are not for balconies. Story 47. Wales wins. In February 2005, 26-year-old Jeff was in Wales watching the England versus Wales rugby match. He made a promise to his friends. If Wales wins, I'm going to cut off my balls. Wales won for the first time in 12 years, and Jeff, true to his word, went home and fulfilled his promise. He survived, but became sterile, winning the Darwin Prize. Don't make stupid bets on sports. Story 48. Stop, look, listen. In September 2007, two friends won tickets to a Dave Matthews Band concert in Florida. Due to rain, the concert was delayed, and they decided to take shelter from the downpour by crossing the railroad tracks. Ignoring the train signals, they were hit and killed. This haste earned them the Darwin Award. Moral: always stop and listen on railroad tracks. Story 49. Homemade bungee jumping. In 1997 in Virginia, 22-year-old Eric Barcia decided to jump from a 70-foot bridge on homemade bungee cords. He taped them together with duct tape, but didn't take into account that they stretched. Eric hit the asphalt and died, winning the Darwin Award. Bungee jumping is not for the faint of heart. Story 50. The case of the patrolman in Wisconsin. In 2006 in Wisconsin, 7 students decided to play a joke after a party by pulling out stop signs. They gathered 27 signs in a pickup truck and drove back. At an unsignalized intersection, they were rammed by a truck. 6 of them died, winning the Darwin Prize. Leave stop signs in place. That's it. 50 incredible stories about human stupidity. Which story impressed you the most? They are funny, but they remind us to think before we act. You don't want to win the Darwin Prize, do you? Thank you for watching, be careful, and see you in the next video.